This is Hello Brain, presented by Brainovation Network. Welcome back to Hello Brain. I'm your host, Collin Adams. I've got Dr. Ramona Von Leden here with me. Our guest today is truly the human embodiment of a firework. Sheila Thelen is with us today. She's the founder and patent holder of Vestibular Training Services and dedicated to advancing vestibular rehabilitation, balance training, and education for clinicians working with dizziness, concussion, neurological disorders, and balance conditions. Sheila, it is such a joy to have you with us. Welcome, finally, and long overdue, to Hello Brain.
Oh, I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for having me. This is so fun. I'm a huge fan of Brainovations, and of course, the two of you, huge fan. This is so neat. Thank you for having me.
I would like, before we start into Sheila's amazing work, I think it'd be fun to share a little bit of the fact that how we kind of all know each other, because Sheila's a very intricate part of Brainovation. Not only that, but Sheila's how I know about Brainovation. So we're all very, very connected. I met Sheila when I was working at a company, NewFit, through Mike, who was another rep there. It's like the 6 degrees of separation. And literally, Mike just told me, he's like, you've got to have a meeting with Sheila. Just that's it. Like, there was no more. It was just like, you just need to meet her and just have a call. And I was like, oh, what are we talking about? And he's like, doesn't matter. Just talk to Sheila. And
He's so cute.
Yeah, he was so right, because you get on a call with Sheila and she's like the most dynamic, excited, fun, smart, cool. And I was like, oh my God, I'm sure that every single person has their first call with her and is like, can you be my best friend? And then as I was exploring new options for my own professional development, Sheila was like, hey, you should really talk to these folks over at Brainovation. And here we are about 1 year later. Mm-hmm. Collin and I have recorded, an entire season of podcasts, and Sheila is out there kicking ass, and we're all affiliated and associated with the amazing work that you guys are doing at Brainovation. So thank you, Sheila, because I wouldn't be here today without you.
It's okay. I'm a LinkedIn nerd, but I love it because I've just made some of the most amazing friends and relationships, and I've stayed at people's houses. They've stayed at my house. Like, all these groups have really been amazing in industries that I think that fight amongst themselves, coming together to change the world. And that sound like lunatics for saying that. And so really it's been an honor to team up with some of the most amazing people I've ever met. And that's the Brainovation crew. And I just love this stuff. Thank you.
Sheila, I'm still waiting. I thought you were supposed to come to Austin like 6 months ago.
I know. I think I'm coming up in the next month or two. Like, it's very confusing. And you're gonna laugh. Part of it is the military. Like that was it's like I talk. What's the best thing that happened to your company? The military with jazz hands. Okay. What's the worst thing that happened to your company? It's the military. So like I've had like really weird scheduling with them, and it's been a lot. They've been sending me athletes and war fighters, and they've been sending me some kind of scary concussion gentlemen, so it's been quite the project. So, and I'm in Minneapolis, so right now I got a whole bunch of NHL guys in town working with me. So it's been a lot. But I have gear down in Austin, so like I'm trying to get down there with Dr. Moose to go hang out with him and Connor, his assistant, and really go work with more gear. We're going to do a conference together down there soon.
Okay, awesome. Well, that leads you, Collin. I'll let you kind of give the intro there of what Sheila's company does that she's kind of alluded to.
Yeah, so my first introduction to Sheila is a 2-part story here that I just feel like is so important and necessary to share. I was just meeting Tanya, who's the CEO of Brainovation Network, for the first time up in Vancouver. And as her and I are getting into a shared Uber to head to our first destination of the day, we get in and Tanya, all excited, is like, I've got to introduce you to this woman in Minnesota. She's taking people who've had a concussion and spinning them. And honest to God, my first thought was, is she crazy? Like, why would you do that? Why would you spin somebody who's had a concussion? Aren't they going to throw up? Are they getting sick? And, she is crazy. I think that, but it's an endearing way to describe her incredible personality. It's not the way that society would necessarily deem someone as being crazy. Sheila is crazy resilient, crazy empowering, crazy encouraging, and then, as we've learned even so far in this conversation, crazy connected. She probably knows more people than anyone I've ever met. And it's interesting, I was in northeast Ohio back last summer with Balraj, a colleague of mine, and we're at this academy and we're standing in a circle. There's probably 10 people in this circle, and I happened to notice some of Sheila's equipment sitting right there, and I was like, oh wow, that's Sheila's stuff. And everybody in the circle, kind of like that Spider-Man meme where they're all pointing at each other in unison, are like, wait, you know Sheila, you know Sheila, you know Sheila. And I was like, of course we all do. Like, that doesn't surprise me at all.
The 6 degrees of Sheila Thelen.
Exactly.
The funny part of that meeting is they were sending me photos, like just random photos. And okay, one of the guys is with like the Nuclear Regulatory Commission that I know. And I'm like, what are all of you doing there together? Like, yeah, Spire Academy with Bobby Khalil.
Yeah, a great place. And that was a great trip. The second part that I have to share, just because I think it's necessary to explaining the person of Sheila Thelen, is when I first visited Minnesota. In the morning, Sheila met our team at the hotel, and as you know, we're walking out and it's like negative 5,000 degrees. It's January in Minnesota.
Oh.
You freeze immediately when you walk outside. I'm from California, so I'm like not having that. And there's not many cars in the parking lot. And we start, as we're walking out, I'm like, oh, wow, that's kind of cool. There's like a Jurassic Park Jeep here. Who would have thought like that someone in Minnesota would be driving one of those? I like Jurassic Park. Jurassic World has been a bit of a weird spin-off thing that I don't love, but the Jurassic Park movies are cool. And so I'm just kind of looking at it, and, there's not many cars in the parking lot again, like I said. And we just keep walking towards that Jurassic Park Jeep. And I'm like, this is crazy. Sheila is like super fun, and now we're going to end up walking to our next destination because I don't see anything besides this Jurassic Park vehicle sitting here in front of us in the parking lot. And all of a sudden, we're getting into the Jurassic Park Jeep. And so it's me and Sheila and then the CEO of Health Tech Connects, Derek Norsworthy, getting into this Jeep. And fortunately, Derek lets me sit in the front because I am about 6'1", but my legs are at least 90% of my body. So for me to get into a small space is difficult. And Derek might be a tiny bit shorter than I am, but he's like CEO of a health tech company that is global, like laying on his side, like jammed in the back of this Jurassic Park vehicle. And we're driving like through a Starbucks drive through getting coffee. And I was like, this is a different world. I've never experienced anything like this in my life. So that kind of encompasses fully who Sheila is. But even more incredible is the work that Sheila is doing with people and with vestibular training services. The vestibular system is something that was kind of new to me. I've been in the brain health world, specifically really with neurofeedback and ADHD for about 10 years. So I wasn't super aware of the vestibular system. And for the people that are listening, Sheila, would you mind just giving a quick explanation of what the vestibular system is?
So the vestibular system is right on the inside of your ears. So I talk about kind of like it's your eardrum, it rolls into the vestibular system, and it rolls out to the cochlea, that nice curvy thing that you'll see a kid with a cochlea implant that's deaf. So like that's sticking out of their head. So with it, that vestibular system is always referred to as 3 semicircular canals. But the best part, if you think of it this way, vestibular comes from the word vestibule. So vestibule is the entry to your home. Vestibular is the entry to your brain. So it's the first step of the data coming into your brain. And this little 3 semicircular canals, little contraption, rules everything. It really is everything. So it's 3 semicircular canals, and it's tiny. It's like the size of my fingernail. It's just teeny weeny. So the model is obviously huge, but with it, on the outside of the canals is these little lumpy chunks they call crystals, and they're just like little microscopic lumpy chunks. On the inside is like a gooey gel. And the really important part, which people don't realize, is on the very inside portion are like little hair follicles that move the gel, and it's the first entry of data. There's a great new paper that just came out from Harvard, a nice 34-page paper that you're going to have to Google half the words, just saying. She's a slow read. But it talks about how those hair follicles are connected to your fast and slow twitch muscles. So it talks about basically athleticism, like right off the bat, of what that vestibular system can do. And those hair follicles, it explains how we have such good performance results, because in spinning, we're really stimulating those hair follicles and moving that gel. We also talk about the problems within the vestibular system is when those crystals on the outside get vibrated down into the gel. So like the data is not moving smoothly through the freeway, it's moving around lumpy chunks, so like bad traffic, and so the data doesn't move through well. When we also, and we talk about like what causes those chunks to move, and I always talk about like Humvees, like ride in a Humvee. Oh my gosh, boy, like things are flying all around your head. Yeah, exactly. Really high vibration place. Like those, a lot of people are like, let's do more vibration. I'm like, let's not. You're like, it's like shaken baby syndrome. Like stop over vibrating yourselves. The other pieces of it too, rodeo, jogging, car accidents, like a sudden stop, like something that slams, that'll really dislodge those crystals. The other piece, aging, which nobody wants to hear. Like, hi, Al, you're 40 now. That sucks. But, like the crystals are starting to move and they're not staying where they belong. So there are a lot of balance programs, an Eppley maneuver that a lot of people will talk about, help move those crystals back into position. But in the same sense, we're spinning. And I talk about all the time all the different levels of spinning, because everyone's like, oh no, I'll puke. And I'm like, nobody pukes when I'm in charge. Okay, nobody, because we just start out so slow. And you've seen my really slow videos, and I look super unimpressed in the video. Like I'm always like, well, here it comes. It's super slow. I look super unimpressed in my own videos. But as people get better and better, and I feel like people come to me so often saying, I'm never going to get better. This concussion, this aging, I'm never going to get better. And they work with me one time, and they do. Okay, and we do all the pre and post testing and the 22% improvement and just that feeling of calm and zen and in a reset. And Collin, I love to always tell the story of like, can you feel your brain after you work with me? And you can. Yeah, you can feel your brain.
And I'm gonna jump in for a small moment to help our audience understand a little bit more on like kind of where the vestibular system is really connecting within the brain, because as Sheila's alluded to, the vestibular system ultimately controls motion, balance, all these things. And the vestibular nerve is directly connected to our brainstem. It's one of the fastest sensory systems that can give us, a response. And it's something that you can train, as Sheila does every single day with people who come to see her, go to her centers. It's something that we train in sports. It's something that we train in a lot of different and I'll give you an example in a second of myself, because I have not always had the best vestibular system, and I get fairly easily seasick. But I started doing capoeira, where you do a lot of spinning, and that process, the first couple times, boy, did I feel really, really bad. But slowly, it's getting better and better. But it's not just motion and balance, which I'm sure she was going to talk about a little bit later. But it can play into a lot of things in our brain, including things like attention, memory, focus. Specifically like your fatigue, all of that can be impacted by a vestibular response. And I would tell a really quick story that's just a personal story, that when I was in grad school, I did my graduate work with the military. It's just like all the things connecting. And when we did our neuroanatomy lab, one of the labs was on the vestibular system, and you would have like this chair. And the way that, we talked about it was you talked a lot about the gunk and the crystals and this goop that's in there. Well, we all have like a balance in our goop, right? That's the right balance that allows us not to feel dizzy, that keeps us kind of at sea, so to speak. There are a lot of things that can affect the goop, as you mentioned, like aging. As the crystals move, part of the reason they move is that the goop starts to harden And that's just a normal process of aging, but that's one of the reasons why you get that impact on the vestibular response. But on the flip side, when we drink, when we have some alcohol, the goop in your ears actually thins. The alcohol thins out that substance. And that's what causes us to feel dizzy when you're drinking. And so one of the things we would do is like kind of, you could create that same response where it's like, this is why you feel nauseous when you've had a few drinks, is that you've literally knocked your vestibular system out of line.
That's amazing. I didn't know that. That's
Yeah.
super helpful. Sheila, I wonder how you got into spinning. Like, how did you realize, or what brought you to say, like, yeah, spinning is going to be my thing?
So I'm a master figure skating coach. I have been in figure skating my whole life. And so I've coached, I don't know, 500,000 kids. Like I do conferences and trade shows and events. And I already owned I'm either number 1 or number 2 skating harness company in figure skating.
Obviously, you're number 1.
Oh, I'm 1 or 2. I can't get the numbers out of the Russians, so I'm either 1 or 2.
You're number 1.
You're definitely number 1 in the U.S.
Well, I think so. Like, I have a lot of sales, and I just came back from Pittsburgh yesterday from skating stuff. But so like I've been in skating forever, and we've always talked. And I hang out with world and Olympic coaches. You know, we do conferences together and events together, and so I just work with so many kids, and we always figured out that like kids at a certain level, where they learn the midline cross, the feet cross, and this spin called the backspin, which is exactly what we do in air in the harness systems. Like they changed. Okay, like they went from like kind of an annoying kid to suddenly a kid that could take a 45-minute lesson. Kids that were really into it. Like you could watch them mentally change into loving their sport. And their skill levels just went through the roof at that point. So where they were struggling athletes, suddenly they were becoming advanced athletes at this one point of the spin. So I talked about it for years, but I was in Lake Placid about 10 years ago. back to another drinking story. Drinking with other coaches, you know, and other coaches from other sports, and we're all back there at the bar drinking. And the coach next to me goes, I have a problem with dizzy athletes. And I looked at him like, that's dumb. Figure skaters never get dizzy, you know, and I kind of dismissed him. But the little blinking light in my head went, why would children be dizzy? That just seemed weird to me. Like maybe old people, but children, what's wrong with them? And then the next coach is, I have a problem with dumb athletes. And I looked at him, I'm like, oh no, not figure skaters. Yeah, no. I got 8th graders taking college trig. You know, like I'm serious. Like there's no such thing as like a dumb figure skater. That would be like an A- student that had to put effort into it. You know, like what? No. So they go around the whole laundry list of problems. And the whole time my brain's like, okay, wait, what? No, I don't have any of these problems. And so I came back with the question of what am I doing differently than all these other sports coaches? And the answer was spinning. We're spinning like nobody else spins. Even ballerinas don't spin like a figure skater. And so that started me on this whole rhinoceros road forward of what does spinning do to the brain? So I spent the next 4 years literally talking to anyone that would listen to me. Doctors, lawyers, and PTs, OTs, MDs, more coaches, Olympic coaches, you know, top trainers in the country. Like I kept in an annoying way being like, so what does spinning do to the brain? And what is it doing? And of course, we end up at vestibular, and we end up at your nervous system, and we end up with frontal lobe, and we end up with all these, we end up with the brain is what we come up to. And am I stating the premise of, does spinning make you smarter? Does spinning make you feel better? Does spinning get your nervous system to quiet down? Does spinning make you sleep better? You know, and we ended up with the big 4 of vestibular of balance, cognitive, spatial, and sleep. And if I can, in a Tetris way, fill in those holes of wherever your gap is, does that calm the nervous system? And I'm going to say over and over again, yes. And that's where we teamed up. And that's part of how I end up in these projects is we teamed up with balance tracking systems to do pre and post testing. We teamed up with Axon, fabulous app. You know, you can track the cognitive speed for pre and post testing. and showed incredible data, concussions, post-concussion, a 22% improvement, in one session. And people talking about they keep coming back. And I talk about you wouldn't come back for 2 years if you didn't think it was helping you. And how I got here is a weird coaching story. But also how I got here was with the help of a lot of other neuroscientists and PTs and OTs and doctors and chief medical officers and other brilliant people that helped me get to this point, not only in my own equipment, but with research and data and outcomes.
I want to hear specifically one story because I love the way you tell it, but I also think it's such a powerful story that exemplifies the power of what you're doing. And that's Thor. Who, when I got to Minnesota and it was negative 5,000, I actually also had the chance to meet him. And the nickname Thor, that's not his real name, obviously, but if you can imagine from the Marvel movies what Thor looks like with the long beard and the long hair and just this really big, strong-looking guy. He's an axe thrower, I think.
World level axe thrower, yeah.
World level axe thrower. So it just checks all the boxes of Thor and Minnesota at the same time. But he came to you with some pretty severe neurological conditions and concussion TBI, right?
So he's an amazing looking dude. Like, he's so fun. And I'm short. I'm like 4'10". So standing next to him, the photos are always hilarious. And he's a really amazing success story. So he came to me from originally a brain bleed from a snowboarding accident that never really cleared. And then from there, it's a really common story of the first big concussion and then like 20, 30, 40, 50 concussions on top of that one, where he just kept slamming his head into everything. The wall, the door, the bed, the trunk. Oh my God, walking down the street, like hits a tree. Like, the dude was a serious balance risk. And so he came to me, he was unable to drive at like 29 years old, can't drive, lost his fiance, can't handle light and sound. And the really common story we get all the time too, he lost his sense of humor and didn't realize it. Because like, humor is a high function, like think of like Robin Williams, okay? It's high function. He's funny, Thor was not funny, okay? And it was really, like, they're not funny people anymore, which is, it's kind of painful to work with them because they're not funny. And I'm funny still. So he worked with me, and literally the first time he worked with me, and I'm going to talk about like how the slowest the gear could move, he only did about 6 turns, and I looked like I cooked him. Okay, like he was done for the day. His mom drove him to and from, but he went home and he literally had his first real nap in 2 years. And talked about he couldn't wait to come back and work with me because the first time he'd really slept. And it's a common story. And we hear it in the military too, that they're drugging themselves to sleep and they're kind of drugging themselves awake. But then that's also the breakdown in the testosterone, is that he just couldn't pull it together, So he went home, had his first real nap. Next week he comes, can't wait to work with me. Like, and I have that really long hallway to my training room that's painted weird, and it's hard on concussion people. Just that hallway, and there's some ramps in it, and it looks like it's moving. If you've had a concussion, it's an awful hallway. I like to challenge you before you get there. Like, life's hard. And he came back, and he came back, and he came back, and he came back, and he just loved it. And of course, he starts improving his skill. We can add eye tracking. We can do head movements. He can track 30 seconds of time in chaos. He can close his eyes, that vibration, like all these pieces fell in. And in all these little parts of his life started to return. And he talks about like he could, after 4 weeks, he could drive again. He got his fiance back. He could handle light and sound. Although he still wears, I think, some sound dampening earplugs, like concert ones, just because it's a little loud where it's super loud where he works, with screaming and yelling and music and loud sounds. So he still wears those as a little bit of a compensation thing. When he's tired, he'll still wear his yellow sunglasses, which we joke he kind of looks like a cheap cocaine dealer in them, like,
Beard and
you
hair
okay?
fit.
Yeah, you look a little funky, but he talks about, I still remember him coming back and him saying he was so excited he'd gone to a wedding over the weekend and he stood with a group of guys and could talk shit and keep up. Like he wasn't standing there with his beer, just letting it go past him because the conversation was too fast. And he talked about that was the day that he knew he was better and getting better and doing better and better and better at a time where 5 months before, he didn't think he'd ever get better and thought he had a crap life, and so he went from, I'm never going to get better to, oh my God, look at all my improvements. I'm getting better and this is awesome. And he goes on to qualify for the world championships for axe throwing. He gets married. He has a house. He's got a dog. It's kind of a weird looking dog. Anyway, and he's happy. He's super, super happy. And it's really an honor to tell these stories, and the fun part is when you met him, we brain scanned him that day with NeuroCatch. So we were there for NeuroCatch. So NeuroCatch did the brain scan. And then Tanya Yardley looks at me and goes, "Are you sure he's had a concussion? He tests normal." And I just remember being like, I'm going to cry because this dude would not have tested anything close to normal. And what an honor it was that in the 6 months he'd worked with me, he now tested normal. He then went on to spin and then retest with NeuroCatch, and he showed 100%, speed up improvement through NeuroCatch. And that day was a stunning day with crazy data coming out of people with strokes and special needs. Boy, the data that day was really revolutionary in my company. It was really exciting.
Yeah, we saw that N400 really speed up on him and many others as a result of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
So excited.
that's an incredible story. Can you like for someone to understand? I mean, you're saying you teach spinning, but like, what is the process of someone coming to work with you? What, like, are you literally just putting them on and you start spinning slow, and then with each session we're spinning faster? Like, how do you coach someone through this process, which is the same thing that you would be doing with like a young figure skater learning how to do their spins?
So we have two scenarios. So one is this rail system. So imagine just like an electric spinning platter, like a lazy Susan that you stand on, but it's got handles. So you really can hold on and really feel safe while you're doing it. And that is what I'm really using with my concussion people, my aging, my Parkinson's, my fearful people, that are just on the fearful side. And the goal of that is just really slow, gentle rotation. It vibrates through the plate. It's very gentle. And then they increase in skill levels and they increase their ability. So but they start out at sometimes only one turn. Like that cooks people. If we can get two directions out of it, it's really interesting. And we always,
you are an ambi-turner, or an ambi-turner, as Zoolander would say, so you turn both ways.
Exactly, but that's hard for people because counterclockwise is so much easier than clockwise. And there's a whole theory behind that. That's a whole nother podcast. I could spend hours talking about progression of left to right and right to left. But counterclockwise is so much easier. Counterclockwise. That's so easy. Clockwise.
Frog only turns clockwise.
I know, but clockwise is a nightmare. I'm just saying, especially for concussion people, they just can't do it. Okay. So that's scenario number one. It's more of a slow, gentle, aging concussion type group. Then I have my fly system, which Collin got to do too. And I'm just going to say, holy, cook your brain. It's fun. But it's chaos training. So it's the same exact scenario. It's a spinning plate underneath you, but then you're in a body harness, and I literally, with a triple pulley, crank you up into the air while you're spinning. And those are my shocking videos that even NASA was like, how'd you do that? Because as I train you week after week, eventually I can train that dizzy out of you. It takes about 6 weeks, 6 to 8 weeks, but I can totally train that dizzy out of you. And the kids love it. Okay, the kids are like, That was amazing. Cook your brain, better than video games. But, which it takes a lot for kids to say that, by the way. Okay, so yeah, it's super, super fun. So all my ADHD kids, my autism kids, and my chaos people. So people that work in chaos, cops, firefighters, military, snipers, special forces guys, sports people, all my pro sports, rodeo, any chaos people really love that fly system. So I have the rail system for kind of the gentle scenario, and I got that fly system, which is insanity, and people love it. Okay, especially the kids. My old people, no, they're like, no, I'd rather die. And the comparison is kind of like even the spinning teacups at Disney World. Okay, like I have people that come train with me so they can do the spinning teacups in Disney World in front of their kids and not look like losers in front of their kids, and to be able to do like all the rides at Disney World, because Disney is a giant vestibular monster stimulus. But that's why some people love it and some people can't handle Disney. Mm-hmm.
So, okay, so then is the theory very the high level that spinning, you're essentially activating the vestibular system, and the more you activate the vestibular system, the more you're activating other parts of the brain, like the attention, the focus, the energy, etc. Is that basically high level what we're doing?
And you're gonna love this. So Tanya Yardley, in her brilliance, just for the fun of it, through a Mendy. Okay, and I'm still learning this. Okay, like I'm still learning Mendy. I still need to spend more time with it. So she scanned four random people at a conference, and holy, I'm just gonna stick this photo up because it's just shocking. Like Collin, I don't know if you've seen this yet, but while they were spinning,
Yeah, I believe that.
yeah, look at the Mendy stuff was like people.
For people who are listening and can't see this, she's showing a chart that Mendy has. It's an app called Mendy Neurosight that measures the amount of oxygenated blood moving through the prefrontal cortex, which is really important for things like executive function, memory, basic and important brain functions. And as a result of spinning, there was a significant increase in the overall oxygenated blood flow going through the prefrontal cortex, which makes a lot of sense.
It makes total sense. But when we saw the data, I'm like, wow, look at this. And now it's just people on just a quiet rail system. I'm in the process of throwing it on all the kids for the fly system. And I'm willing to bet the data is just going to be shocking. Like I just can't wait. So I'm still in the early process.
I have one more question. So like if somebody wanted to, like they didn't have access to, like if somebody just started doing spinning every day in their living room, would they see an improvement over time?
Yes. Okay. And so, and I have two scenarios of this. The really famous story is the whirling dervishes. That it's a religion where they spin with their arms and in those costumes for hours at festivals. And it's even considered a religion in like Iran and Afghanistan, like the old ways of the whirling dervishes, which is thousands of year old spinning. But so we pre and post tested this. So we pre-tested people on a bounce plate, let them just spin themselves in their living room, retested them. And yes, we saw an improvement. There was no question. But when they had to use our gear, so then we retested it again, same scenario. But on my gear, when you had to adapt to what I was doing to you, it created just a whole different set of data points. Shocking changes in their data, much less with that fly system.
Oh, so like essentially, if somebody is spinning you rather than you are the one doing the spinning, so essentially you're reacting to the spinning happening to you rather than you spinning.
And doing it to yourself. And the example of that is like, you're both sitting in the front seat of the car. One, you're driving, and one, you're the passenger.
Right.
Two totally different neural loads going on in the front seat of that car. You know what I mean? Even if you're the DJ as the passenger, you're still not doing as much cognitive work as the driver. So, and that's just our example of it. But yeah, we did see improvements in just spinning yourself. But getting on my gear, and there's the extra safety pieces too of the waist belt, the holding on, the body harnesses. Obviously, we have safety pieces involved in it too. But it is fun to watch people improve, and just seeing your clients completely change. Even, and I have to find a way to test this too. They come in a lot of times with, I call it shark eyes, especially like, I'm tired, I'm exhausted, my brain hurts, I'm over-processing through my eyes. All of these pieces that we see all the time where they have shark eyes. But then after spinning with me, they leave with bright, shiny, happy, a whole new set of facial features. They look totally different when they leave. Especially my concussion people. And even like my younger concussion athletes. One of my favorite ones is like, he just loves it. And afterwards he's like, we should hug. And I'm like, we don't have to, we don't have to hug. He's like, well, there's hugging, and it cracks me up that this kid just loves it. And you can just see a change in his personality from kind of a flat kid to like really back to his personality again.
I can speak to both of the systems, the rail system and the fly system. I think I tried the rail first because me and Derek were like looking at each other like, are you sure? Like, you sure about this? You sure we're going to try spinning right now? And the rail system was great. Now when I get on the rail system, when I'm in a place that has one, I'm up to the point where I'm spinning at like 70 or 80. I just get on there and tell whoever's running it to just crank it because I just really love the experience and the feeling after, like I have access to flow state on demand. My brain feels calm, but very, very centered. And then my first time trying the fly system, I was definitely nervous. I had watched a figure skater do it before I did it. And I think this figure skater is like U.S. Olympian hopeful, like, and so I was like, I don't know about that. She just went really fast. Like maybe we chill out and I just do something else. But then I got on there and I was worried about being nauseous, and I'm like jet lagged. I had coffee that day. I ate breakfast. So I'm thinking like I've got the perfect cocktail in my stomach for something to come up right now. Gosh. And it wasn't the case at all. I was really surprised. Like, yes, you are spinning, but it's a totally different experience from the teacups at Disneyland or a tilt-a-whirl at a carnival. It's not
what's different is you're on an axis. You're on an axis versus outside the rotation. So there's a whole different brain alignment in being on an axis. And you were fabulous on it. Like you were so good. Like, and it's fun, and the goal is never nausea. The goal is what you should feel like is an alert, a snap, a focus, a flow. All of those pieces, like when you get off the gear, everyone assumes like, oh, we'll need trash cans because people will puke. No, absolutely not. Lifetime Fitness has had the gear for 2 years now. Has had 0 people vomit, 0, because that's not the goal. The goal is to get you to spin and catch that nervous system and get that vestibular moving. And it's a zen. It's not
an illness. I want to speak specifically to baseball really quickly because that's where I come from. And I actually worked out at this facility called the Florida Baseball Ranch near Tampa, Florida for a summer. They have an annual summer program where guys who are 9 years old all the way up into pro ball are coming through there. And this would be a perfect fit for the gear, honestly, because they talk all the time about chaos training. And they'll do drills like we had a tub filled with different shaped and weighted objects, and there was a turf mound right next to it. And the assignment was for 30 seconds on, rolling clock. You just go find something in the tub, get up and chuck it at the net. And you don't have to necessarily repeat any kind of form or mechanic. And the idea is to train the brain to be adaptable and resilient to changing environment, both externally and internally. And everybody in baseball talks about how you've got to have a repeatable delivery as a pitcher. And the honest truth to a repeatable delivery is that it's complete bogus. No pitcher on any given outing is going to repeat their delivery time and time again because physiological things happen. The environment changes slightly. Your landing spot on the mound changes a little bit. So that being able to train the brain to adapt to a chaotic situation or environment helps immensely, specifically as a baseball pitcher. And wow, I wish I would have had access to a rail system or especially the fly system. I would have lived on that thing as a high school and college athlete.
Well, and it's funny. I just had a famous NHL player in with me last week who told me his goal was one more season. Can he get one more season out of the NHL? That's the plan. But when he was done working with me, he goes, I might have 2 or 3 in me. Like suddenly you could see like a complete shift in I'm over, I'm cooked, to suddenly like I can do more. I feel good. I can compete with those younger players. And when I saw his balance plate data, shocking. But like his huge improvement in his balance. But cognitively, he sped up on an axon by like 9 seconds. And I looked at him, I'm like, what would 9 seconds give you in the NHL? And he looked at me, he's like, I'm gonna hoist a cup. I'm like, yeah, let's hoist
Entire
that.
shift.
I said, yeah, like what would 9 second faster brain than everybody else on the ice give you?
Yeah, that's
like
so much time. Yeah.
duh. Like duh. And
Much
the crazy one
9
is
milliseconds.
okay, right. But the best one is my aging mom, but going on 80. Same thing. We just wrote a great white paper about she improved by like 94 seconds. Okay, oh
90
my God, 94 seconds.
Oh,
Because
God.
you like, and okay, and I have to tell you, so you do the Axon game. Great product, fabulous product. And as you're following the numbers, they start in the middle, they zigzag all over the place. They're always different every time. But at the end, it's still kind of a progression on the outside, okay, of the iPad. And watching my mom pre-test it. So she's on the final run of the last 5 numbers. And it's obvious. They're literally like 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. Like literally in a straight line. And my mom goes 19, 20. Wait for it. Hold on. She's getting there. Hold on. It's right there. It's right. The number's right there. 21. Like she's just like 22. I'm like, go. Just go. Like, but to see my mom have to process every single number and then get a line there and then get another line there. Like it was painful to watch my mom do it. But one of our concussion clients, she's 17. One of the doctors sent her to me here in the Twin Cities, which cracks me up too when doctors send me concussion people that aren't getting better, and I'm not a doctor. Okay, just take a second on that. But she would sit there and she's 17, and on that hard test, she'd hold her brains into her head, talk it out loud as she's trying to go 1A, 2B, 3C, and she can't even do it. Like she literally can't even do it. And she's crying, holding her brains in at 17 years old because she can't figure this out. And I'm like, oh my God, we got work to do, So over the course of 3 months, she goes from the rail system to the fly system. And oh my gosh, she's back to like zip, 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 zip. 2 totally different chunks of data. And at different happiness level in a kid. Like she's 17 now, getting personal best, graduating early. She's like back to being awesome, where she came in as kind of like a flat Stanley, like with no personality and crying and holding her brains into her head, And I'm like, who cleared you? Like you like, who cleared you? Like, did you drive here today? Like, you shouldn't be driving,
Love the
Yeah,
ode
so-
to Flat Stanley there.
Yeah, Flat Stanley. Oh, yeah. I see a lot of Flat Stanleys
Good guy.
in concussions. Yeah.
Well, as we kind of start to wrap the conversation today, I would be remiss to ask somebody who has so much energy and passion for the brain health space and is so well connected in the brain health space and has met so many people. It would be a real shame if I didn't ask, what are you most looking forward to or excited about in the next even year?
So the goal of the gear is to get the gear into the hands of one genius, one person, and that one person can help 1,000 people. And so who is that genius? It could be anyone. It could be it's you. It's you. It's all these great people, but it's also someone in autism. It's someone in the military. It's someone in trauma. Although I recently had a trauma specialist visit me, and I was traumatized by the trauma specialist. I'm like, wow, you have a horrible job. But like it's in the hands of someone that works with PTSD clients. We're children. We're doing a big project with the University of Minnesota here. We're in the final line of the IRB. What? Okay. I know crazy things about IRBs now. And it's on children that don't stay dry at night. Okay. We're talking, did you realize 10% of 10-year-olds aren't staying dry at night? They're not going to hang out with their buddies. They're not spending the night at grandma and grandpa's. They're just too much work. And these kids have zero self-confidence in anything they do because they're struggling. And so I got a call from the University of Minnesota, the head of the urology department. And we're doing a big study with them now. So like we're going to help millions of kids stay dry at night. So like I'm like all these little great projects and our military research and our other work I'm so excited about. But once again, just one unit helps 1,000 people. So to get hundreds of units out, we can be helping thousands and thousands and thousands of clients, especially in us all teaming up. So I go back to the team up and the projects and the Brainovation amazing network. And I talk about all these groups that can really work together to change the world. And once again, not lunatics for saying that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much for sharing that. And thank you again so much for joining us today. It's always such a joy to talk with you. I leave every conversation we have just feeling more encouraged and excited about the brain health space and the future of it and how we can all begin to really work together instead of against each other to make this happen and create access to better brain health solutions. Sheila,
come ride in the Jurassic Park, Chief. It really is my daughter. It's not mine. Like I'm just saying, I've got a Jurassic Park.
Go to Starbucks, see a bald eagle in the sky, head out to Culver's, get on the spinny stuff, all at the same time. Sheila, if someone is listening to this and wants to find you, where can they do that?
Well, they can find me through Brainovation Network. That's the easiest place. But in the same sense, we've got the spinyourbrain.com, which is our main website. I'm all over LinkedIn. I love me some LinkedIn. But it's these projects together that, but we really want to bring in NeuroCatch and NeuroTracker, and we want to bring in Maverick, and we want to bring in, a reactionary board like SmartFit or Dynavision. We want to bring in, oh my gosh, I just want to go through my whole list of, we've got Neuronics and they all fit together. And, we want to bring in Axon, and we want to bring in, I'm just trying to look around, Amendi. I'm just looking around my office right now, like all the things I got here, like
just keep listening.
Stuff I could do, but that's our project at Lifetime Fitness, is partnering with everybody and bringing this gear out to all of Lifetime Fitnesses around the country. And that's 190 locations. That's 1.6 million people that would have access to brain health.
It's a big deal.
Let's go.
So spinyourbrain.com or Sheila Thelen on LinkedIn. You can also find her at shop.brainovationnetwork.com. That's where her rail and fly system live in the Brainovation Network ecosystem. Thanks so much. If you've been enjoying the show, we would absolutely love to hear from you. Please leave a review on this episode, share it with a friend or colleague, and subscribe so that you don't miss future conversations exploring the many ways, including spinning with Sheila, that we can optimize and support brain health. We'll see you next time. You've been listening to Hello Brain, presented by Brainovation Network.